Sam, you watched that game.
Yep.
Was it a little bit more about? Was it a little bit more about Notts County playing well rather than MK Dons playing badly?
Yeah, absolutely that. I mean, I didn't think MK Dons were poor at all. They weren't sparkling, of course they weren't, because they were beaten by a better side. But I don't think they were poor, but by any stretch. I thought Notts County were really, really impressive. I mean, Dan Crowley for them, who set up the first and scored the second, was the difference in a game that otherwise was fairly evenly matched. So, yeah. In isolation, that can happen. You can get beaten by a side that perform really well on the day. The frustration,
but
lies
three defeats in a row is what the real frustration is.
Yeah,
isn't it?
That's the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they didn't react well enough to the 6-3 defeat against Newport.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was hoping that they'd come into Stadium MK and fans would see a real reaction. I don't think they saw that. As I say, they weren't poor, but they can play better than they did against Notts County.
Well, I'll tell you what, that puts a bit of pressure on today's game, doesn't it? With everything, everything you've just talked about, a home performance and 3 points, that's a real, important game today.
Yeah, they're falling away, MK Dons. They're in 11th. I think it's dropped down to 12th, actually, because of the early kickoffs. And we mentioned on Boxing Day, it's so tight. I think win, and they're back up just outside the playoff places again. But they're playing another side who are up there. Crewe are in 4th. They've got automatic promotion aspirations of their own. So it's a massive game. They can't lose 4 in a row, because then you really are losing ground on those above you, and you need a real kick-start to the new year. So they'll obviously want to end the year on a high, especially on the back of 3 defeats. But yeah, it's a big game. I mean, Crewe have had a really good season. They're apart from their loss as I mentioned earlier, they lost at Cheltenham on Boxing Day, but it was a first league defeat in 13. They were 12 unbeaten before that. So generally they're in decent form, Crewe. It'll be a tough game today, but because of their recent defeats, they're under a bit of pressure to win it.